Hi there. Today we're going to talk about my newest creation, my own creation, for my Lego village. Although I am told that now it is officially a Lego town rather than a Lego village because I have added to it a cathedral. This is something that was a lot of fun to design, although I found I had to be a little more creative because cathedrals, like so many other buildings, are just so big, and how they fit into the town without overpowering it, it could be a little tricky. So what I've done here, this is a cathedral based on a standard base plate size. It's actually 1.5 base plates, so 15 inches by 10 inches, and it is approximately about 18 inches tall by the time you get to the top of the spire here. One of the things that I have been working on as well is to make things a lot more portable, and also so that you can see into the interiors. So one of the things I wanted to make sure of is that you could easily see the inside of this cathedral, and so the entire front can pull away like this. And I'm pretty proud of this front because there's a lot of detail to it, and this is not modeled after one cathedral specifically, although I was inspired by quite a few different ones, and you can see the detailing here, which is intended to be the statuary that you would typically see on a cathedral like that, and then the cascading arches of the main entry. And one of the most striking features, I think, is the rose window right here. The rose window, it's actually a motorcycle wheel from the Technique series, which I repurposed into the rose window, and it's got many 1x1 translucent pieces behind it. And I'm going to go ahead and turn this around so that you can see it carries through to the other side as well. So the translucent piece and stained glass are actually sandwiched between the two of the wheels to form the rose window. Now from here you can also see that I've got a pipe organ. Most cathedrals of this size and type would have had some version of a pipe organ, oftentimes in the rear above the main entryway, and so I'm very proud that I was able to include it here. There in each of the towers I've got a staircase that will wind up to the level so you can access the pipe organ, and then continue on up into the bell towers. Now I haven't yet actually added a bell into the towers, but hopefully I'll be able to do that at some point. Nicely, as I've been moving the entire town to various events, I've done a couple of conventions now, and also take it down to the fair a few times, I found a need to make things much more portable, in particular my own creations. And so I've been working on being able to do that similar to the way that the Lego modulars can come apart at the floor levels. I've made this so that they will separate. Here we go. So here the tower can come off and make it much more easy to pack and to move, and so it doesn't get damaged, or at least as much as it would have if I tried to move it in one piece. And so what I'm also going to do is I'm going to see if I can hold this up to the light and see if you can see the stained glass coming through there. You might not be able to. We'll see if we can't get a better look at that later. But it's actually quite striking, and what a lot of people have told me is I need to work on getting a light on the inside. So that might be another one of my projects to go ahead and get a little LED on the interior so that it'll shine through the windows on the outside. The windows are much more evident in the main portion of the cathedral. And as you can see, this is why I wanted to have it be able to separate, because now you can just see all of the vaulting on the inside. And like a traditional cathedral, we have the main hall with the big vaults in it, and the flying buttresses, which carry the thrust of the main vaulting down to the sides, where we've got the two side aisles that come and run up the side. Now, a traditional church, cathedral like this would have had a transom, which basically two doors, which would have bisected this or intersected the main aisle, form a cross shape. I did not do that on this cathedral only because as I fit it into the city, or I'm sorry, the Lego town, there are going to be buildings right up to the side of it, and I was not going to be able to exit to the sides. But I do have two doors on the rear that you can see I've got opened right at the moment, so certainly you can have more than just that front door. Now, I did make a traditional asp, they call it, which is the altar, and it's there at the rear, and I tried best I could to curve the back part, which again would be a traditional shape for the altar. And one of the things I wanted to do is I wanted to have a very striking stained glass window, which you can probably see right there above the altar. That's actually my favorite stained glass window. And then there's a little one up on the side there, or up at the top. And then all of the vaulting and buttresses have their own individual stained glass on both levels. You might be able to see it better from the exterior. And you can see all the stained glass there on the sides. That took quite a bit to do. They're actually made up of 1x1 translucent pieces. I've got green, blue, red, and yellow colors in there. Just one or two places of orange, sandwiched with some dark stone gray for the mullions, which would have been the way that they put stained glass together. All of those pieces are set vertically so that the edges are exposed, and that gives me the ability to have a little more detailing. And there are 1,500 little 1x1 translucent pieces in the stained glass windows alone. Because of this, I wanted to make sure that I got as much light as possible into the cathedral, and so I went ahead and added a dome on the rear here to let some more light into the interior. And again, that's fairly traditional for churches of this type. You'd have a way to get up there and maybe walk the perimeter of this. Some churches use it as maybe like a viewing area or a meditation area and so forth. But again, because of the portability of it, I made it so that it could separate off of there. And then this portion of it actually up to this height here fits into the plastic bins that I have that I move it in. So that's the cathedral. I have it front and center on my town square. And now you see the town behind me here, where previously I had the town hall. I moved the town hall off to the side because the cathedrals in a town like this would have typically been center, and they would also traditionally been the tallest and largest structures in the town, which it is now, with the exception probably of the lighthouse. But even still, it doesn't really overpower the town too much, which is what I was going for. I had to reduce the size of the town square by half of a base plate, so it's now down to a 32 by 16 rather than a 32 by 32 stud town square, but it still works. And so I'm quite proud of the cathedral, and what I'm going to do is give you a closer look at some of the interior portions here. And you can see the inside and the rear windows, and of course the side windows, the altar down there. And I went ahead and put pews in there. Some cathedrals would have pews, some others will not. And we'll go up and take a look at the vaulting. And back out so you can see it. And you can actually see the opening of the dome there, where it would have been. And I'm going to come outside and you can see the flying buttress details. I wanted them very light. I originally had it designed as a double wide buttress. It just looked too heavy. So I went with a single wide, which makes it a little more fragile, but I'm happy with the way that it turned out. So, and now we'll go over to the rose window, and you can see the light a little bit better through it. And then down to some of the detailing along the front. And we'll turn it around, and then you can see the details of the pipe organ down below, and over to the towers where I've got the stairs that come up through it. Of course, they're mirrored on the other side. And let's go ahead and put it back together. So we'll put the dome back on. Put the front back together. And of course add the steeples back on. Well, as you can tell, it's obviously not glued together, which is a question I get all the time. But right there is the Lego Cathedral.